original Dead Rising's mall presented a playground of pain, allowing you to weaponize just about anything to euthanize the undead. For all the avenues of mayhem offered, there were some systems which made Zombicide feel like a chore. Now the series has moved from the mall to, well, a bigger mall with some casinos and a new protagonist, Chuck Green. Is the sequel a safe bet, or should you double down and always bet on Green?
Don't lie! Hey, dirtbag, let the lady go.
Reality television and zombie plagues were made for each other. Chuck's going to earn some bucks playing Terror is Reality, where contestants mow down the undead for cash. That's all fine and good until someone frames Chuck and invites the zombies to participate outside the arena, invading the vast compounds of Fortune City, a hedonistic den that can go tit for tat with any virtual Vegas. Now he must clear his name and survive until help arrives.
I've got Zombrex.
Yeah, well, you better have a lot, because there ain't none here, and the rescue ain't coming for 3 days.
There's a fair amount of blunt symbolism assaulting Americana, capitalism, and many of the other sacred cows Romero dismantled in his own zombie flicks. Katie, Chuck's daughter, acts as an emotional anchor amongst all the absurd bloodletting. She's a sweet kid who likes Mega Man, and it's hard to let anything bad happen to her. There are B-movie jollies to be had, a conspiracy to unravel, and even a dash of humanity to keep Chuck, and the player, motivated beyond the mutilations. The schlock is decent, especially the melodrama involving the psychos. The intrigue surrounding Chuck's unfortunate circumstances are cheesy enough, though not so disconnected as to not warrant investigation.
No way!
Katie, it's me, it's Daddy.
It's happening again, isn't it?
For a game consisting mainly of some of the most universally reviled elements, namely escort missions and strict time limits, Dead Rising 2 is strangely not horrible. It takes 3 days for help to arrive, and in that time missions will pop up, asking you to rescue survivors, take down dangerous psychopaths, find medicine for Chuck's daughter, and get to the bottom of what really happened. And of course, to kill thousands of zombies. Arming survivors will help your odds, even though the AI may often mistake you for a member of the shambling horde. The psychos, humans using the zombie outbreak to make good on their demented contract with America, will prove more than a match for Chuck early on, until you level up to expand your moves, speed, health, and inventory space. The most diversity comes via the case files, special missions that charge you with finding out the truth behind the outbreak. These are also the strictest when it comes to the time limit. Miss one, and the rest will elude you, and it can often be many in-game hours before the next becomes available. Dying or missing a critical event lets you load a save to try again, or restart the entire story with your current stats. The try again approach can be off-putting, though having access to 3 save slots makes it easier to manage during last-minute rescues. Like most physical activities, maiming the undead is done better with a partner, which is facilitated by easy drop-in co-op. It limits players to the same zone, but it's a small price to pay for being able to revive each other, which makes taking chances more palatable without the fear of having to restart. The competitive Terror is Reality minigames are trashy little excursions rewarding luck more than skill, and generally aren't worth the time it takes to load them, though you can transfer your winnings back into the game. The putrefied apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Dead Rising 2 is a lot like its predecessor, with its 72-hour time limit and expansive mall. Chuck will doubtlessly have to restart a few times to properly foil the scheme, though simply upping the save slots has greatly decreased the frustration. There's only one thing between Chuck and his salvation: an endless amount of animated corpses. The meat of the game is mowing them down before they chomp on you too much. Grab almost anything and start whacking until it breaks. There's not a lot of complexity to combat, though you can throw, spray, and ride some weapons. Butchering zombies, rescuing survivors, and terminating the psychos grant prestige points, which let you level all the aforementioned perks. The clunky controls are much more noticeable when fighting the fast and deadly human opponents. It's nothing game-breaking, though guns and vehicles feel much better. The photography from the first game is gone, replaced with the crafted weapons, which fit much better into the cycle of killing and scavenging. Certain items can be combined to form even more ludicrous death devices, which give even larger prestige bonuses, feeding back into the overall flow of the game. You'll be actively looking to pick up specific items as you lead a parade of survivors back to safety. Dead Rising 2 is a very easy game to play, rewarding perseverance more than perspiration. The allure of dismemberment is strong, even though the execution can be a tad iffy. There can be many zombies on screen at one time. However many Chuck blows up or beats down, there will always be more. When it comes to the game's ability to render a convincing world, quantity is never an issue, though quality is something else entirely. For instance, regardless of what Chuck is about to scarf down, the eating animation is always the same. It's comical, but lazy. A lot of dialogue doesn't have voice acting, some that's there is mismatched, and there's generally a lot of loading, usually interrupting tense scenes with Chuck dressed up in a ridiculous getup. Still, they sure put a lot of zombies on screen. Chuck's zombie safari had 4 years to fester like a glorious corpse flower before opening to show its nefarious nature. Fundamentally, it's the same game of maim, shoot, strike, and slay, with an amusing hunting ground peppered with weirdos. The small improvements, like the extra save slots and crafted weapons, are just that, small improvements. The joys of co-op are obvious, but not always available. If you can deal with dead time and like kill counts in the thousands, let the dead rise so you can lay them to rest.